Україна.
Welcome to the X Global News channel. Let's move on to the news in Ukraine. North and south of Svetovo, the armed forces of the Russian Federation tried to go on the offensive in late November and early December. The headquarters of the grouping reasonably considered that it was useless and even harmful to sit in a poorly prepared defense, and the grouping, replenished with fresh units, would be more useful if it tried to counterattack. There is no talk of a big offensive, rather we can talk about constant attacks by the Ukrainian front line in different areas on a wide front. Motorized rifle units formed from the mobilized went into action. Until December 6, they attacked settlements west of the Svetovo-Kremenaya road with varying success and tried to throw the APU over the Zarabets River. The APU had to transfer fresh units to this area. As a result, the Russian armed forces received counterattacks and a breakthrough in defense south of Svetovo. On December 8, the Ukrainian army again cut the Svetovo-Kremenaya road and is trying to move further east. So far, progress is slow, including due to the muddy ground and the unwillingness of the Ukrainian command to lose too many people and equipment. But even this offensive with limited forces is a success. The command of the Russian Armed Forces Group was forced to send 3 motorized rifle brigades to positions south of Svetovo on December 9 to avoid a breakthrough. Intense fighting has been going on there for the last week. At first, our infantry was thrown forward, checked where the APU's defense was stronger. In several places, they were caught off guard at first. There is no front line as such. A couple of villages were occupied. The headquarters again dreamed of going to the Stallion. Here we received counterattacks, lost all the newly occupied villages. The day before yesterday and yesterday, the AFU in small shock groups knocked our motorized infantry off the road to Kremenaya and advanced even further. Now brigades are being pulled here from the bridges and Starobilsk. The headquarters are confident that the mobs will gain combat experience and their morale will soar to the skies. In fact, the mobs are suffering serious losses, mainly from artillery and mortar fire, just moving into position. I have already said that if the APU makes a breakthrough here, they will break through our defenses. But I don't believe they will. There are a lot of troops caught up in the LPR, the APU is waiting for serious losses. They will solve their task if they want to, but they will not want to, because they are afraid to lose 5,000 to 7,000 people, says the commander of the Russian army unit located in the LPR. Fighting continued south of Svetovo on December 9 to 10. The section of the Svetovo-Kremenaya road is still under the control of the APU. Offensive actions by the forces of units up to the company continue. Advancing here and there, just to advance, is not our strategy. We are calmly solving our tasks in the north of the Luhansk region. It has become more difficult because the Rashists have brought large replenishments. It slowed us down, but it won't stop us. You just need to plan operations more carefully. And the key is not in success in one direction, but in organized actions at once in all the vulnerable places of the enemy, and he has a lot of them. Small injections are the best way to identify these places. This is what we are doing now, says the Ukrainian staff officer. If the APU finds weaknesses in the Russian defense south of Svetovo, then the offensive is likely to begin almost simultaneously with active actions in other directions. According to Russian officers stationed in the Luhansk region, a full-fledged defense breakthrough in this area will lead to the fact that the Russian armed forces will withdraw from Lysychansk and risk losing Kremenaya, Lysychansk and Severodonetsk. The probability of such a development is high. The headquarters are sure that there are enough troops here, but we see their quality. In addition, we both did not have, and do not have any plan, no strategy. We just stupidly keep nameless forest plantations, we just stupidly go to clean up villages. We grab, roll back. Mindless and senseless grinding of people into mincemeat. The defense should be formed with an eye to further offensive. We don't have anyone aiming that far here. Each division takes its own positions, often without coordinating it with its neighbors. There is no idea. Elda, the nickname of the commander of the group, General Surovikin, is now passionate about the attack on Bakhmut. He is not interested in us. Therefore, it's not anarchy, of course, but a mess. You ask the battalion commanders who is standing next to you, what tasks? They shrug their shoulders. We stand on the defensive, they say. We have to build interaction on our own and try to form defensive positions so that we can act, and not obediently sit in the mud on our ass, says the commander of one of the Russian units located in the Svetovo area. Despite the fact that there have been no major battles in the north of the Luhansk region for a long time, local battles occur daily, in which both sides suffer losses. So, from November 8 to December 8, the armed forces of the Russian Federation lost 4,000 people killed, missing and captured in the area from Svetovo to Belagorovka. Another 9,800 were injured. The losses of the Ukrainian armed forces are about 1,500 killed, missing and captured, and up to 4,200 wounded, which is very sensitive for the Ukrainian army. Officers of both armies note that the tension and intensity of the fighting is increasing day by day. The armed forces of the Russian Federation have again begun, albeit limited in this direction, to use aviation and actively use kamikaze drones. The APU uses American and European MLRS, carrying command and observation posts and warehouses. Let's move on to international news. Vladimir Putin on the introduction of a ceiling on oil prices. Russia will not have losses under any circumstances. The proposed price ceiling is proportional to the prices at which we sell oil. We will not have losses under any circumstances. This was stated by the President of the Russian Federation Vladimir Putin at a press conference following the meeting of the Supreme Eurasian Economic Council in Bishkek. We will think, if necessary, about reducing oil production, the head of Russia added. Putin also said that his decree on the response to the introduction of a ceiling on oil prices from the Russian Federation will be released in the coming days. The Chinese Foreign Ministry says, the United States has no right to play the role of world gendarme. Washington has no right to impose sanctions against other states under the pretext of observing human rights in them. This was reported to TASS by the official representative of the Chinese Foreign Ministry, Mao Ning, in comments about the upcoming U.S. sanctions against Russia and China. The representative of the Foreign Ministry said that China is fundamentally opposed to interference in the internal affairs of other countries by Washington. The United States has no right to impose sanctions on other countries at its discretion and has no right to play the role of a world gendarme, Mao Ning told reporters. The diplomat warned that China will take measures to protect its rights and interests. In response to the U.S. accusations against Beijing of supporting illegal fishing in the Pacific Ocean, she added that China has always cooperated with other countries in the fight against illegal fishing and has been a responsible state in the field of fishing. Victor Bout said that he had not encountered Russophobia in prison in the United States. Russian Victor Bout, who was exchanged for American basketball player Brittany Griner, said that he had not encountered Russophobia in a U.S. prison. He said this in an interview with RT employee and State Duma deputy Maria Budina. The recording of the conversation was published in the Telegram channel RT. I have not met with such Russophobia. Basically, even almost all of my fellow prisoners were set up with some kind of sympathy for Russia, Booth shared. News from Bloomberg, Erdogan wants to negotiate with Turkmenistan on gas supplies bypassing Russia. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, during talks with the heads of Turkmenistan and Azerbaijan, Serdar Berdimuhamedov and Ilham Aliyev, is going to revive the idea of supplying Turkmen gas to Europe bypassing Russia next week. This is reported by Bloomberg with reference to high-ranking Turkish officials. We are talking about delivering gas in tankers to Azerbaijan through the Caspian Sea, and then through the pipeline network of the Southern Gas Corridor to deliver it to Turkey, from where the fuel will be distributed through European gas pipelines. Sources of the publication admit that the implementation of Erdogan's proposal will take years. The NATO Secretary-General considers it likely that the Ukrainian conflict will escalate into a war between Russia and NATO. NATO representatives believe that the aggravation of the situation in Ukraine may occur in the spring of next year. This statement was made by the Secretary-General of the alliance Jens Stoltenberg. During his speech, he said that Russia could make a big offensive next spring. In his opinion, now the parties want to regroup and restore their strength. He added that it is difficult to predict the development of events in the conflict. The head of NATO also stressed that the alliance is not going to give up support for Kyiv. According to him, Russia's victory will increase the vulnerability of the bloc and create serious consequences. Thank you for watching the video. Put a like to support the channel. Subscribe to the channel and then you will be able to follow our new releases. See you soon.